Hello and welcome to the Deep Talk Podcast, a podcast and community dedicated to learning, growing, and connecting more deeply with ourselves and one another. I'm Madison Brandt, your host. Let's get started with this week's Deep Talk. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Deep Talk Podcast. Today we're talking about choosing people who choose you. I'm sure if you're listening to this, there is someone who comes to mind, or maybe more than one person. Maybe it's a family member, maybe it's a friend, maybe it's someone you're dating or are in a relationship with romantically. Whatever it is, I know that there's probably something weighing on your heart today where you're like, there's a person in my life that I feel like I'm choosing and they are not choosing me back. Or I am choosing them in a way that I want to be chosen and they're kind of choosing me, but not actually giving me what I need. And like, it doesn't make me feel chosen. Even if that's how they're deciding to choose me, it doesn't feel good. And at first, I just want to say that I'm so sorry that you're feeling, sad or hurt, because it's hard when you want a family member to give you more or someone you're dating to choose you fully and unabashedly and just with so much sureness in the way that you choose others, in the way that you do that in your life. And I'm just sending you a big hug and love before we dive into this, because I know it's not easy. So for me, I've had this in a lot of different areas in my life. I've felt really unchosen a lot with dating and finding somebody who I choose that also chooses me back. It feels like it's always so flip flopped. You can like really like someone and they aren't choosing you, but then someone's choosing you and you're like, I don't want to choose them back. It's just like, it's always hard to get that aligned. I felt it in certain ways with friends. And I've been lucky to not have it too much within my family, but I have had it there. I have had it there where I'm like, wow, like I want more of a relationship here and I can't get it. I can't get it, and that really hurts. Um, so I guess I want to first start with you before we talk about anyone else. You want to choose. You're a chooser. You want to choose this person or you choose people. You want to love people and you have a way that you like to show up and you like to love. There's something about this person that's hurting you because you don't feel like you're getting met the way that you want to meet them or the way that you have been meeting them. And maybe you're angry about it, or maybe you just bawl your eyes out sometimes because you just want to be loved back the way that you love, or the way that you've chosen them and made them feel special, and the way that you've tried to build a relationship that they just don't seem to want or be able to do for you. And it can make you just feel super rejected, and it can make you feel like you're not good enough, and it can make you feel sometimes like you're a failure. It can bring up a whole host of emotions. But when we sit with you first, before we again talk about them, which we will, we look at this pain and this understanding that the experience you're having is mirroring back to you a desire in life to connect and to love, and that is something that you want to do, and there's a certain way you like to do it, and a certain level or of givingness you like to give, and how you like to love, and a desire of mutuality that you have that you are being shown right now. That as much as we want this person in our lives, or want them in a certain way, like we also have our own we have our own needs, you know? And I think that you're being shown your needs right now, and you're being shown your lack of being met and you're hurt around that. But you are being shown kind of like your level of like standards and needs, which I think is something good to understand. And we'll come back to this, but every experience we have really shows us what we need and helps us understand why that's important. And I feel like I kind of abandoned me and in these experiences, and instead of being like, oh, this is teaching me that I need more or different, I would try to mold to people so that I could get love. I felt like a lot of times in dating, I would be like a freaking acrobat. I would try really hard to get them to love me and choose me the way that I would choose them. I would go out of my way to do really sweet things and make them feel super special. I would just overgive. I would make all the plans. I'd be constantly doing all the communication. I'd be like lifting up their weight so that they didn't have to pick up the weight of loving me. And wow, that's like so hard to say. um, I would pick up the weight so that they didn't have to love me the way that I knew I need to be loved, because I knew that they couldn't and they wouldn't or didn't want to, and I didn't want to face that. So I would date people who kind of didn't give a shit, and I would give way more than I needed to, and I would try to like love them into loving me, which never works, because people need to love you because they want to and because they choose to. And it never ended up getting me the kind of love I wanted by trying really hard to get someone to choose me or staying in places where people weren't. I even feel that with friends and family. I've had experiences where I'm just like, I'm choosing you and you are not that interested in building a relationship with me. And I'm trying to show you how great I am by loving you. I'm trying to show you how great I am by just trying to be great around you, and you don't want it. Um, and if I've learned anything in life, is that people show up the way that they can and they want to. And there's nothing you can do to make them love you harder by you loving harder or by trying to change yourself to get something out of them. People are going to love you and choose you the way that they can and want to. So they're either going to have the skills to love people, but just not choose you like that because they just don't feel that click and they're not interested, or they don't have the skills and they can't meet you where you need to be met emotionally and just in life because they are not able to. They don't have the right emotional skills. They had a hard upbringing that has shaped their way of being able to love. They have a lot of healing to do, and that's sad. But it's also not your responsibility to stick around for someone who hasn't done their healing, just because you hope that one day they'll be something that you don't know that they'll be. I think regardless though, and I always say this because we spend so much time analyzing, like, why aren't they choosing me? Is it because they don't like me? Is it because they are unhealed? Is it because they have family issues? Is it because they are emotionally unintelligent? They don't go to therapy? Is it because they are a narcissist? And like, does it really matter? Like, it does, but it's like, does it really matter the answer if all you know is that you're not getting your needs met and you're not being chosen? And like, if they're not going to be in your life, probably because of that, do we need to really dive in? And even if they are in your life, do we need to dive in because we probably need boundaries? I know it's hard when you really care about someone and you want them to choose you, but what they're showing you is what they're showing you. And that's what you're getting. And maybe you can have a conversation. It depends on the kind of relationship it is, and like everyone's different. So yeah, there's communication that can happen for sure. But if you've communicated and things aren't changing and you've really stated how you feel, if you haven't done that and it's something where you should definitely do that, to get more clarity and to understand, more about what's going on. And maybe there is something you don't know that you need to know. But if you haven't communicated, yes, go do that. But if you have, it's like, if someone isn't changing or meeting you, it's like you're seeing who they are when they're giving you what they want to give you, and when you've communicated and asked for more or different and it's not changing. And there's a few things I want to share that I've learned. Okay, the first thing is that I always say this on my social media, is that someone's best might not be your best. Someone can give and show up for you, and it might just not be what you need or what you want, and it can feel like they're not trying or choosing you, but it might just not be enough for you. And it's okay for something to just not be enough or not be like striking a chord. It doesn't make them wrong. And I think that makes us be like, oh, well, nothing is wrong. We just love differently. Let me just shape myself. And it's also like, no, I think you really do see what you're going to get. And I think especially when things are in the beginning and they're already bad, it's like, that's another thing. It's like, it, it's really good to see how things are and to be able to be like, I'm choosing you, but what you're giving me, regardless of if it's something I like what you're giving me or not, it's what you're giving me. And I have to choose you not for what I want you to give me, but for what you are giving me. That is really hard. It's good to look within and go, why am I choosing someone where I don't like what they're giving to me? And why do I think that they're going to be someone that they're not? Because their potential is in my head and they have no responsibility to it. That is our own thing. Potential is not real. And it is important to look at what's in front of us and to ask if we like it and then make choices better. Because if we're just choosing constantly for people who aren't choosing us, or we don't like the way that they are, we aren't making good choices for ourselves. I think connection is one of the most important things ever. I think it might be the most important thing in life, and I don't want to half-ass it. I think there are people in life that it's okay to half-ass it with, or like you don't need everything from. You don't need everything from the barista at your favorite coffee shop. You don't need everything maybe from your hairstylist or from the person who does your dermatology appointments, or you don't need your going out friends to be your friends that are there when you're crying on the couch. But the people that you do want to be chosen by, maybe it's a friend, maybe it's a family member, maybe it's that guy you're dating, whoever it is, it's so important, if you care, to not try to act like you don't. I know what it's like to twist yourself into a lot of shapes to try to get somebody who you want to choose you. But then it starts being this inauthentic connection that you actually want to be deeply authentic because it really hurts you and because you really care and you want it to be better or different or more. And so it kind of reminds me of like having a crush on somebody, but you're friends, and then like lying that you don't, but then always hoping for more. And then you're like stuffing down these feelings, and that's bad for everyone involved. It's like this whole lie and inauthentic thing just to keep a connection, but it's also not a truthful connection. And for the ones you really care about and that aren't the ones that you don't, like those need to be honest and truthful. And um, if they can't be what you need, that's like very painful, and you shouldn't lie to yourself. Like you don't deserve half-ass connections. You deserve people who really choose you and support you and love you. There's like the story of like a vintage car, and it's like some people will see it and be like, I don't understand the value, but some people are going to be like, this is the unique thing I've been looking for. I totally get it. And not everyone's going to get it, and not everyone's supposed to. But when you want them to really understand you, and you're like this vintage car, and you're like, well, let me just change some of my parts to make them more new and blah blah blah, and doing all this stuff so someone recognizes you and hope, and also probably will just choose you half ass because you've changed enough for them, while you're sitting there as a vintage car with all these new pieces that you don't like. It's like this whole thing where you've changed and you don't like it, and they don't actually want it that much, and it's just this like no one's happy. It's a lie. So it's like, you don't deserve half-ass connections if that's not what you want. Going back to what I said of like, sometimes people, their best is not what's best for you, right? Maybe they are giving you what they can, and maybe it just isn't enough for you. Maybe they're actually giving you all that they can, and you just don't recognize it or like it. And then that's understanding too, like, is this a choice that I want to make? Because you have to like how people choose you. You can't just want to choose them based on who you think they could be or should be for you, because that's not, again, their responsibility, and that's not realness. So I don't know. It's like they deserve people as well, that they can give what to you looks like half-ass. They give that to somebody else, and that's someone, for somebody else, that's a full tank filled. If you feel like your tank is empty, or you don't like what you're getting, or what you're getting is confusing and it's missing the mark for you, it's getting honestly aware of like, I care about this person and it's just not feeling right. And it's kind of a grief and a loss to accept that, because when you're trying so hard to change things, you kind of like dance around the fact that uh, things are how they are and they might not change. And you're doing all these things to try to make them different. And when you finally just accept how things are, then you're like, wait, this is a lot of grief, because now I'm seeing things in the truth, and that truth hurts me. You know, I don't think you have to get rid of anyone in your life necessarily. I don't think that there's one size fits all. But you have to live in the connection in a way that feels okay for you. For some people, that is walking away and cutting them off. For people who cannot love you or meet you at all and don't want to, and you feel disrespected, maybe there's a family member who can't give you what you need, or makes you feel bad at holiday events or whatever. And maybe with those people, you have a conversation with. Or maybe those people, there's boundaries where you don't go to all the holiday things, or you have boundaries around how and when you communicate with them. You put people in your life in a way that is okay for you, because the full thing isn't there. And there's some people that might be able to, you know, really grow with you after a conversation, and that's rare, but that's beautiful. But I think the main thing is when you realize that something's not feeling good for you and it's not clicking, that is when you have to get really honest with yourself about why you're trying to change something to be what you want when that's not the reality. You maybe have feelings for them. You maybe have this family relationship and have this vision of what it's supposed to be. And, I do think I know why you want things to be different, because you care on some level. But trying to change people or have something be different is actually just not sitting with the grief that things sometimes just are not, they're not what we wish them to be. The family member and the friend and the person you're dating are not the person you want them to be. And that's really hard to sit with. And all the dancing around you've been doing is avoiding that. But when you sit with that, it's really hard to realize like you never had the brother that you thought you'd have, or the mother, or the father, or the sister. And you see your friends have it, and it's grief that you don't. Or the guy that you've been dating, the girl, or the person that you've been dating, they don't make you feel loved enough. And you know that. And you might have to walk away because you can't keep doing this. And the grief of having to actually come to terms with the fact that you might have to walk away and that it's not enough for you hurts, because it has been meeting some needs for a long time. Whatever it is, it's pain and it's grief to recognize that something isn't meeting your needs and that you're going to have to change the relationship further to protect yourself. It's grief to realize that somebody who you wanted to be something isn't. I know how hard it is. And it's sad. It's sad that you see how people are on television shows, or you see your friends are like, I want that kind of family or love or friendship, and you just aren't experiencing that here. But that doesn't mean that you won't. I think once you sit with your grief, you come to a point where you realize that there's got to be better out there for you, because if you can choose the way you do and love the way you do, there's got to be people out there that do that back for you and that meet you there. And I think when we can kind of put down the fantasy of expecting somebody to be that for us, we can find it elsewhere. Maybe the family member isn't what we need, but we find a beautiful friend. Maybe there's a different family member. Maybe one friend isn't great, but another is. Maybe one person you're dating isn't great, but another is. And you find people that choose the way that you choose. I'm really sorry that you're feeling sad and this grief, but I think it also is tying you back home. It's bringing you back to your heart where the truth lives. You love and you want to choose, and you have needs that are not being met. And you're a human, and you can only do so much before you crack, before you actually need to be met. There's only so much twisting and changing of yourself you can do before you realize that it hurts too much to keep doing that, and you actually need to be loved too. You need to be chosen back. So for anyone who's just feeling this extra heavy today, I love you, and I just want you to know that you're wonderful and that you deserve people who are going to choose you, and that it's going to be hard, but I think sitting with that grief and moving through it instead of running around trying to change a situation that isn't for you to change, it just is. Once you can kind of be with that reality and choose yourself, that's when things change. It doesn't mean it's not going to be hard, but it does mean you've got your back. That you know that if someone's not meeting your needs, or someone's not what being the thing in your life that you're trying to be for them, it's like, okay, well, now I choose me. And that breaks my heart, but it also heals it. Because when I choose me, I find a life that chooses me back. And I'm willing to walk through the pain to get there. I love you guys. My DMs are open always. And I'm choosing you all day today. I am sending you big hugs. I know it's hard, but you're worth it. You're worth the choice. Don't give up. I'll see you guys next week.